Welcome back to Central Valley Talk. I'm Johnny Freeborn. I'm your host, and today we have District Attorney Keith Fagundes here to speak on Prop 57, and it's so good to have you.
Thank you.
We look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Mike. Actually, Johnny.
Yes. No
Sorry
worries.
about that. I'm time lag there. Yes, I'm Keith Fagundes. I'm from the Kings County District Attorney's Office. I am the elected DA down there in our little small county, and we're proud of that county. We love public safety down there, and that's why I'm out asking people to take note of Proposition 57 and vote no on that proposition. That proposition actually will release thousands of inmates who have not demonstrated rehabilitation, haven't shown their desire to reintegrate into society by following any set of rules in the state prison. And it's actually going to increase crime quite a bit. We've already seen a huge increase in crime since Proposition 47 a couple years ago. And quite frankly, Prop 57 is just a Prop 47 on steroids, so we could probably see another double of violent crimes. So what we have seen as a prosecutor is that individuals who go to prison for either serious or violent crimes tend to not get much rehabilitation in prison. We have been encountering an overcrowding problem over the last few years. However, rather than build new prisons or change the way in which we rehabilitate people, our state prison systems, and our governor in particular, has refused to really take ownership of it. And instead, he just wants to release people. Since 2011, we have seen almost 70,000 inmates released with no note as to their actual rehabilitation. They just took a broad pen and made the crimes that they committed either misdemeanors or non-crimes at all. So it's kind of shocking what's happening here in California, quite frankly. So I'm appalled by it. I'm taking my time to get the message out that no on Proposition 57. The governor has billed this as a proposition that won't release violent criminals. However, some of the people who have committed crimes such as rape of an intoxicated person, rape of an unconscious person, human trafficking involving minors, drive-by shootings, assault with deadly weapons, assault upon peace officers with deadly weapons, lewd acts upon children, hate crimes. The list goes on for 3 pages of crimes that people will be eligible for early release under this program. The other shocking thing is that the governor actually is requesting a constitutional amendment on this topic that drastically affects public safety without any rules established for the parole board to follow in who that gets released. So it's kind of shocking to me that such a proposition would be passed or sought to be passed, and absolutely nobody has set standards to show any kind of fairness, not only for the inmates, but also for the victims and the public at large. So what they tell us is, relax, we're going to pass these rules after it's passed. If you pass Prop 57, we'll change the rules and make them up as we go along. It kind of sounds like, we have to pass it to see what's in it type of thing, which we shouldn't trust at this point.
Wow.
So,
well, that's something to be terrified of almost as a law-abiding citizen, someone sitting in their house who, they're just trying to make ends meet. Maybe their car gets stolen that night.
That is what we see. We've seen since Proposition 47 went into effect that home invasion and home burglaries have increased and auto thefts have skyrocketed. But what's happening is people are committing these crimes, but they're using more and more dangerous weapons while they commit these crimes. So we are seeing violent crime rise, and there's a coalition across the state of 52 out of 58 district attorneys are against this proposition. 28 to 30 sheriffs are against this proposition. We have peace officers and police chiefs all up the state. If you go to our website, No on Prop 57, you will see the lengthy list of good, hard-working people who are against this proposition, who are just law-abiding citizens and or peace officers enforcing the law, who say, based on the track record, this will absolutely increase crime and make everybody else more unsafe in your communities.
Interesting.
So, it is interesting, and I'm actually quite shocked that there is even any support for legislation that asks for a constitutional amendment with no standards behind it. It's just not fair for anyone involved, not inmates who want to seek a path to get out, and it's not fair to victims who have been promised a sentence for these inmates that they should be serving.
What would you say motivates legislation like this? What proponents of
if you want to get into a history lesson, back in the 70s when Governor Brown pushed to get rid of our indeterminate system of sentencing, which is you go into prison, everybody gets a life sentence, and you earn your way out of prison. And we give you the tools to be successful once you get out. So you either get 1 year to life, 5 years to life, 3 years to life, 10 years to life. With that type of system, it's the government who sponsors people to progress and to integrate themselves back into society, get a college education, vocational degree, finish high school, do something to advance yourself. And the system that Jerry Brown fought to change in the 70s was to the current system that we have, which is everybody's guaranteed a time to get out. That guarantee, they billed as hope back then, was supposed to give everybody hope and a timeline to rehabilitate, but yet our prison system failed on actually rehabilitating these folks. So we just automatically released them whether they should be in society or not, without the tools to succeed. We ended up with a recidivism rate. We ended up with violent crimes being committed at an increasing rate. We ended up with such high crime that in '94 we passed 3 strikes. You know, young children were being murdered on our streets by people who should have been finishing their sentences. So 3 strikes was passed. At that time, quite frankly, it was just a political battle, and the certain people in Sacramento at the time made it a promise, you were going to overcrowd these prisons because we're not going to build more. And over the last 20 years, there's been very few prisons actually built and opened for more inmates. So you can solve an overcrowding problem by building more prisons or letting people out. Public safety says build more prisons. Certain people say let everybody out and make the community more dangerous.
Wow. So for those who want to get active, get involved in the political process and vote, what would you advise?
The first thing I would advise on every proposition and every measure, everything and every candidate on your ballot this year is do your research. Actually sit down and read through the text of the legislation. If you don't understand it, call somebody, do the research and find out about it. If you do understand it, but you don't know how it impacts public safety, then you should probably call your local police chief, your local sheriff, your local district attorney. Find out these things before you vote. If you're still confused, I would advise not to vote yes on any proposition this year, but your local measures give strong credence to, because that usually brings some funding in for things like schools, public safety, roads, things that are desperately needed to stay in our community and make our community safer, whether it's Fresno, Tulare, or Kings County. So do your homework, do your research. Don't just buy the tagline and the titles. We have an attorney general who puts things such as the Public Safety Rehabilitation Act of 2016. This measure doesn't increase public safety at all. It is contrary to public safety. So they passed Prop 47 under the bill of Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act, which had nothing to do with safe neighborhoods and schools, had everything to do with releasing more inmates. So be cautious of that.
Definitely. Well, anything else you'd like to add, Keith?
You know, I would just encourage everybody to take strong note of all the media that's out there. Social media these days is something good to listen to, but you should do your homework and do your research. So you have to really make a decision. Do you want safer streets? Do you want public safety and peace officers to be on hand? Or do you want streets inundated with inmates who have not been rehabilitated? And I think saying no to Proposition 57 will send a strong message to the governor and people in Sacramento that we actually want stiff penalties, but in a way that people can get rehabilitation and get out of prison someday and live peacefully in society. The way we're doing it just isn't working.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for shedding some light on something that can be often so easy to misunderstand. And, there's always the pros and cons of each of these legislative pieces. So we look to you folks in society to help guide us and shed light. So thank you so much, Keith. It's been great having you.
And go to our website, No on 57, and you could sign up and be a supporter of the No on 57 Coalition.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.